All right, let's dive in. We're going to pull back the curtain on something you use thousands of times a day, probably without even thinking about it: your words. We're about to explore the hidden world inside every single word. And what we're going to find is this secret architecture, and it's absolutely fascinating. So think about it. When you hear a word or see it written down, you probably think of it as just one thing, right? A single, solid piece of language. But what if I told you that words aren't really the starting point at all? What if they're actually built out of things that are even smaller? Well, it's true. It turns out that every word has this hidden inner structure, an invisible blueprint that holds it all together and, crucially, gives it its meaning. It's a whole world that's just waiting to be explored, and we're going to unlock it with a pretty simple but really powerful idea. The best way to get our heads around this is to think about words as if they're Lego models. Imagine you have a finished Lego spaceship. It looks like one complete object, right? But you know it's really made of dozens of individual little bricks. And as you're about to see, language works in exactly the same way. Okay, so if our words are the finished models, then what are those individual Lego bricks? This brings us to the most fundamental concept we need to understand: the secret life of words. That building block has a name. It's called a morpheme. Now, a morpheme is the absolute smallest piece of a language that still carries meaning. You literally cannot break it down any further without destroying that meaning. It is, for all intents and purposes, the atom of meaning. To put it another way, these morphemes, they're the most basic parts we have to name stuff. Things, actions, ideas. They are the true elementary particles of our language. Let's make this really concrete. Take the word unthinkable. Now, that looks like one word, but it's actually a little model built from 3 separate morphemes. First, you got the root, the core idea, which is think. Then you attach 2 other pieces: the prefix un, which means not, and the suffix able, which means can be done. You snap them all together, and that structure tells you exactly what it means: not able to be thought. But, just like with Legos, you can't just slam the bricks together randomly and hope you get a spaceship, right? No, you need an instruction manual, a blueprint that tells you how all the pieces are allowed to connect. In the world of linguistics, those instruction manuals are called morphology and word formation. These are basically the rule books that tell us how we can legally combine our morpheme bricks to build words that are stable and actually make sense. So the whole process looks kind of like this. You start with your foundation, that root morpheme, like think. Then you pick out some extra pieces, what we call affixes like un and able, to tweak the meaning. You combine them following the rules of morphology, and bam! You've got a brand new complex word, a whole new lexeme. That is the blueprint in action. Okay, so we've got the bricks, our morphemes. And we have the blueprint. That's morphology. So now let's just take a step back and look at the finished model, the word itself, and appreciate it as this complete, really elegant system of meaning. The great philosopher Wilhelm von Humboldt had a really profound way of looking at this. He said that a word is a 2-sided unit. It isn't just one thing. It has an outside and an inside, an outer form and an inner essence. Let's go back to our Legos to really get this. That outer form he's talking about, that's the sound of the word, or the letters you see on the screen. It's how the finished Lego model looks. But the inner essence, well, that's the meaning, the concept. It's what the Lego model is: a spaceship, a car. The word itself is the amazing bridge that connects that physical shape to the abstract idea. So the big takeaway here is that a word is not just a simple sticker we slap onto things. Not at all. It's a complete self-contained system. It has its own internal parts, its own rules for how it works. It's this one neat little package that contains both a physical form and a non-physical meaning, all wrapped up together. Okay, so by now you might be thinking, this is really interesting, but why does it matter? Why is it so important to understand this inner structure? Well, because it completely changes how you think about language itself. This is the real payoff. Seeing this structure shows us that words aren't these fixed, unchangeable atoms. They're complex systems that we are constantly building and rebuilding. This structure is the actual engine of all linguistic creativity. It's how we can take a limited set of parts, our morphemes, and combine them in new ways to express an infinite number of ideas. It's how we get new words like unfriended or binge watch. It just makes language an unbelievably powerful and efficient tool. So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. We've seen that our words aren't solid blocks, but these intricate little models built from smaller pieces of meaning. So if the very words we use to think have this hidden combinatorial structure baked right into them, how does that deep structure of language shape the way we assemble and build our very own thoughts? Something to think about.